Across 19th century Europe, audiences filed into concert halls already trembling. The violinist they'd come to hear had been called a genius, a madman, an agent of the devil. Niccolò Paganini didn't just play the violin, he did things with it no one could explain. 2 centuries later, the world still can't agree on just how good he actually was. The closest thing to an answer sits locked inside a museum in Genoa. The devil himself seemed to guide his bow. The words came unsigned, but they caught like wildfire. In London, satirical columns imagined Paganini bargaining away his soul for impossible speed. Parisian caricatures showed him locked in a duet with a horned figure, his violin ablaze. Even in Berlin, critics whispered that his hands moved with something more than human agility. Audiences arrived uneasy, scanning the stage for signs of trickery. Some swore they saw sparks leap from his strings. Others claimed his shadow twisted and danced behind him, longer and thinner than any man should be. In the salons, the rumours grew wilder. A Milanese countess confessed she had fainted after hearing a single shrieking note. Letters home described a gaunt figure in black, eyes burning, fingers flying so fast the bow itself blurred. As the tour rolled on, the myth only deepened. Paganini's mother was forced to issue a public denial printed in Le Moniteur, insisting her son was no servant of darkness. But for many, the question lingered. Was this man a genius or something else entirely? Each performance brought new stories, new gasps, and a growing sense that the violin in his hands had become something more than wooden strings. Inside a glass case in Genoa, a violin rests like a sleeping relic. Its name is Il Cannone, the Canon. Crafted in 1743 by Bartolomeo Giuseppe Guarneri, known as Del Gesù, this instrument is not just a survivor from another century. It is the violin that once thundered beneath Paganini's fingers, the very wood and varnish that carried his impossible sound. The city holds it close, locked in the Museo di Palazzo Doria Tursi, guarded by climate, by law, and by reverence. Il Cannone's scroll is chipped, the varnish darkened by centuries of touch. Yet the grain of the spruce top, the broad arch of the back, and the wide, powerful ribs all remain. Every detail is catalogued. The original label, the unique cut of the F-holes, the deep, resonant voice that earned its name. Paganini himself called it his soul's companion. In his will, he left it to Genoa, instructing that it never leave the city. Since 1865, it has been displayed here beneath silent lights, visited by violinists and pilgrims from around the world. Photographs capture its curves and scars, but nothing can quite explain the power it once unleashed. This is no ordinary museum piece. It is the tangible proof that Paganini was real, a man, not a myth. The violin stands as witness, challenging anyone to trace the origins of such sound, to imagine the technique required to tame it. The legend is rooted here in maple and spruce, waiting for the story to reach back to the boy who first picked up a bow. In a cramped flat near the harbour, Antonio Paganini counted coins from a day on the docks. He was a packer, a man who moved crates and barrels for a living, but he watched his son with a different hope. Parish records from October 27th, 1782 list the birth of Niccolò Paganini, third child of Antonio and Teresa. The entry notes Antonio's trade, pacciatore del Porto, and a household always on the edge of hardship. Music was not a luxury for the Paganinis, it was a possible escape. Antonio bought his son a mandolin first, the cheapest instrument in Liguria. By age 7, Niccolo had moved to the violin, rented from Giovanni Battista Goffredo's luthier shop just off Via Garibaldi. Goffredo's ledger lists Paganini N. Strings often in need of repair. The boy's early teacher, Giovanni Paganini, played at the Duomo di San Lorenzo. Minutes from the cathedral's music committee in 1796 record his assignment to teach the talented youth of the Paganini family. Practice was not left to chance. Antonio's discipline was relentless. Neighbours recalled hearing scales and double stops echoing from dawn until the oil lamps burned low. The family's finances pressed in from every side. Tax rolls from 1795 show delayed payments. In 1798, Antonio leased out part of their flat to travelling merchants, squeezing more bodies into an already crowded home. Every spare coin went to lessons or sheet music. The city's musical life revolved around church concerts, private salons, and the rare prize competition. At age 8, Niccolo performed at San Bartolomeo, playing concerti by Scarlatti and Vivaldi. In 1799, the Società Filarmonica awarded him a silver cimbalo for extraordinary finger dexterity, his name recorded in the competition ledger and praised in the Gazzetta di Genova. Genoa's luthiers, guilds, and crowded port offered both struggle and opportunity. For young Niccolo, the violin was more than an instrument. It was a lifeline, a daily test, and the only way out of the maze of alleys and debts. The pressure to excel was constant, a force that would shape every note he played. On Paganini's music stand, the impossible became routine. Each page of his autograph manuscripts reveals a new experiment, notations in spidery ink, fingerings that twist up the margin, bowings unlike anything heard before. The Caprices for solo violin, written between 1802 and 1817, are not just studies. They are a catalogue of technical firsts, each one a challenge hurled at the limits of the instrument. He invented bow strokes that seem to defy gravity, like ricochet, where the bow bounces in rapid bursts across 4 strings, as in Caprice No. 5. Witnesses describe the sound as a hailstorm, notes tumbling faster than the ear could count. In Caprice No. 1, he demanded double-stop octaves at breakneck speed, a feat that required an almost inhuman stretch of the left hand. These passages appear in his own hand, preserved in the Milan Conservatory, and in the annotated copy kept by his student Camillo Savori. The fingerings scribbled in the margins show Paganini pushing his students and himself into new territory. Left-hand pizzicato, plucking the string with the fingers of the hand already racing along the fingerboard, became a signature. Caprice No. 24, the most infamous of them all, weaves bowing and plucking together in a single phrase. The 4th variation of this caprice pairs bowed chords with plucked bass notes, creating a duet from a single performer. Harmonics, both natural and artificial, shimmer across the score. Caprice No. 9 calls for scordatura, retuning the violin to reach notes and effects no composer had written before. Every innovation is documented, not just in legend, but in surviving manuscripts and eyewitness accounts. The Caprices stand as proof. Paganini was not just a performer, but an experimenter, turning the violin into an instrument of new possibilities. When Paganini took the stage, he didn't just change the violin. He rewrote the rules for every instrument that followed. Franz Liszt, the young Hungarian pianist, sat in the audience in Paris in 1832 and left with his world turned upside down. In a letter from 1838, Liszt confessed that Paganini's playing haunted him, driving him to chase the same impossible heights on piano. He set out to become the Paganini of the piano, and in his Grandes Etudes de Paganini, he transformed violin fireworks into piano thunder. Conservatories took notice. By the mid-19th century, Paganini's Caprices and Liszt's Etudes were required study from Leipzig to St. Petersburg. Program notes from Paris and Vienna began to mention Paganini's influence as a standard. His technical inventions, once the stuff of legend, became the template for a new generation of virtuosi, not just on the violin, but across the entire world of classical music. Modern science has tried to lift the veil on Paganini's physical gifts, but the answers remain elusive. Some researchers point to hypermobility conditions, like Marfan syndrome or Ehlers-Danlos, as possible explanations for his long fingers and flexible joints. These syndromes can allow for unusual reach and movement, traits that match eyewitness accounts of Paganini's hand stretching across intervals that seemed impossible. Yet there is no medical record, no confirmed diagnosis, only speculation drawn from portraits and letters. Measurements of his hand span, said to reach 12 centimeters from index to pinky, still fall within the range of healthy virtuosos. Genetic testing is impossible, and even the most detailed analysis of his remains would offer only hints. The mystery persists, suspended between the facts of anatomy and the myth of the devil's violinist. Paganini's true secret, it seems, is destined to stay just out of reach. In concert halls today, Paganini's shadow still stretches across the stage. His impossible technique redefined human limits, and the line between genius and myth remains razor thin. Every new virtuoso still faces the same question: where does brilliance end and legend begin? Let me know your thoughts below.